be an analysis of a one-way ANOVA data set. As you can see in our data set here, we have conditions of cognitive impairment, Alzheimer's memory deficit, a control condition, and an Alzheimer's executive deficit condition. Each of them shares dependent variable measures. These are response times to word in a word versus non-word decision task. So we're going to go into the Analyze menu. We're going to do Compare Means and One-Way ANOVA. You're going to add the average word response time into the dependent variable list, and then the diagnosed condition as the factor. Since there are 4 different conditions, we're going to want to look at differences between those. So we're going to select LSD as our post hoc, as well as the Bonferroni, and see if there's any differences between using those two. And let's also go into options, select descriptives, and a means plot so we can get a visual analysis of our data. So your output should look very similar to this. We have our conditions here. There's not an equal number of participants in each condition, but that's okay, they're fairly close. We have our means, and it looks like our control condition has the lowest mean, which is the fastest response time, and Alzheimer's executive deficit is the largest response time with almost 638 milliseconds on average. Here are the results of our ANOVA, and we have a significant F value, as you can see here. So we're going to look into our post hocs and see where those differences are coming from. Using the LSD measure, we find that there are significant differences between cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's memory, between cognitive impairment and the control, but not between the cognitive impairment condition and the Alzheimer's executive condition. This pattern continues for Alzheimer's executive deficit here. These are essentially just restatements of the same tests. So let's look at the control, and it looks like the control is different from cognitive impairment and executive deficit, but not between control and memory deficit. We have a non-significant value here, 0.326. So let's scroll down to our means plot and get a visual analysis of what this is, of what's going on with this dependent measure. And as you can see, the Alzheimer's memory condition and control condition are pretty close to each other, and the cognitive impairment condition and Alzheimer's executive deficit condition are fairly close to each other. So our interpretation of these results would indicate that memory, particularly short-term memory, doesn't seem to be a relevant factor in deciding between words and non-words. Rather, something like executive function, so the ability to focus and make quick and effective decisions, which you would see deficits in, obviously, in the Alzheimer's executive deficit condition, as well as the cognitive impairment condition, are really creating a slowing of the response times. So that is everything for our one-way analysis, and I hope that is helpful to you in your studies.